Bada bing, bada boom, bada bee, bada boom. So I've decided that since I have those randomized anime girl videos up, it wouldn't be out of place for me to do some redesigns while I'm at it. Designing a recurring character can be hard. While not necessary to have fun, it's advised to pay attention to color theory, centering accuracy, and how well it suits the character's personality for it to be a bit more memorable. To start with an example, let's do something no one will get mad at if I redesign. My own characters. Now, how many of you are familiar with Pokemon?
I wanna be the very best. Me.
Cool. Basically anyone who's been a kid during the 90s till now. Cool. So because it resonates with a lot of people, it's bound to reach kids that want to make their own story. And then they post their work for other kids to see, and those kids copy whatever looks cool, and that was me. I basically did that. I had two characters, Patches the Pachirisu and Thrash the Pikachu. I never named anything something normal. Thrash was my magnum opus at the time. A self-insert in a way where I could be dark, but also cute, but also really sad. I never had a clear backstory or personality for her. She was just whatever I felt like. And that's okay to do when you're starting out. Getting a feel for character writing, figuring out how a backstory worked, that can be really hard when you're not really used to it. All of my characters were just me trying something new, and I learned from every experience. However, I feel like Thrash's design and character could really be something more. Not much more, but more is more than the original, and when more is more, I don't know. I remember last year, so probably 2 years ago actually, I tried to rewrite her character to actually be albino, where her black markings were less gray, and her eyes were less saturated. But even then it was unrealistic to what albinism looked like, and additionally made her some lazy bum who never left her house during the day, but the personality didn't stick. The general character didn't necessarily feel finished, and while I felt satisfied in being a little more accurate when I was designing the appearance of an albino character, deep down I felt like I needed to change her more than that. Here's sort of a thing in design. The design becomes more personal and unique if it can show their personality and, even better, their backstory. I feel these aspects can go hand in hand, which is why I'm going to break down both her appearance and her character as a whole. She's a Pikachu, so it's really simple. I had some designs like a red scarf, an eye mark that everyone mistook as a scar, and I don't blame them, and a tail that started out kind of messed up with weird inconsistent flame stamps. Along with emo bangs, but that's besides the point. She was very clean in these odd and unnatural markings, and overall her appearance didn't really have a reason behind it, even when I applied the albinism label. Contrast this with my other character, Patches. All there is to her is odd accessories, but they add on to what type of character she is. Whimsical, happy, and outgoing. Thrash's backstory was a little more consistent and could possibly explain her appearance, but it wasn't much to go off of. She was part of Team Rocket, but in my head it was this universe where there weren't humans, so it wouldn't make much sense in the first place. Forgiving that. At some point she had to burn down the home of her family because Rocket evil, and she refused, and she was punished and berated before getting kicked out, blah blah blah, she's a babysitter or something. We have something to go off here. These aren't bad ideas per se, but I think we can make this more coherent and simpler to follow. Now let's break down the core parts of her design. Her main colors are red, dark red, black, and white. She has a red neck accessory, an eye and tail marking, and a dark past that scarred her. Shut up about the edgy bullshit. A character can have dark aspects without it being all, OMG, look at this cringe! You don't have to work in the same order as I do, but here I prefer to work in story than a physical design to base this off of. Let's first rework what universe she's even from, since she's based on a canon work. If there are no humans, then this must take place in the Mystery Dungeon universe. Her accessory implies she goes to dungeons, since items like Mint Scarf and so on assist her stats. If she goes into dungeons, this can very likely mean that her markings are actually battle scars. Then there's the tragic backstory. Whatever we go with can determine what type of personality her expression and pose will portray in the official artwork. There's a few options, but I think bitter and angry would fit her color scheme best. White and red imply intensity, and the dark shade of red can also indicate that she's distant. Remember that you should keep in mind colors, color theory, and what emotions they can provoke. They can be a great help in making the appearance match a character's personality. If she's the bitter and brooding type, then she may have lost someone in the heat of battle. A partner, perhaps. Because of this, she may be apprehensive and quick to shut out others. This indicates she does have a softer side and doesn't want others to see. Either that or she's just an asshole, I don't know. Patches could be a new partner, possibly why she's got sand up her puss. Now, it took me a while and a few trials and errors before nailing down how exactly I wanted to present her. Pikachu as a design is something that's also limiting, so I have to experiment and twist a few things. I finally settled on a deep and furrowed brow, something that can exaggerate her expression and draw attention to the face. I also added a slight blue to a marked eye just for a small bit of contrast amongst all the red and white, and more importantly to imply it's blinded. I felt that a handkerchief was also more fitting since the scarf tends to look more elegant and mysterious with its loose, flowing ends, while as the ends of a tight handkerchief can make her look more pointy and aggressive. At this stage, I don't think the white fur is necessarily need to be explained. The rest is so absurd for a Pokemon design and it's easy to identify that I think there can be room for suspension of disbelief. Remember that you don't have to be 100% accurate and realistic with the design. This is supposed to be for fun, and realism is definitely more on a scale, especially when you're aiming for something like fantasy. And if some fucko tries to get on your ass about saying it's shitty for not being authentic, then here's my advice.
Eat them.
And there you have it, a full breakdown and redesign of an existing concept. This is more of an extreme and very, very simple instance though. Working with humans can involve a lot more detail, and working around a more complex design can be working with a more complex design can be much more time consuming. Don't be afraid to experiment. Not everything is as it seems, and don't worry if your design isn't as easy to finalize as you'd like. This stuff can take time. Just like a Pixar, they have to draw a character up to 100 times before settling on a design they like. Just working with Thrash alone took quite a few drawings before I settled on something that I felt fits like a condom. It's like a glove. What's important in the end is that you enjoy what you do, not the amount of mistakes that you made. Insert a solid ending here. Goodbye, I love you. Yay! Technology! Wait, fuck! Fuck! Oh my god! Do you like that ASMR bullshit? Good, because you're not gonna get any more. I can't read my own notes. She goes into... If she goes... I finally settled on deep and furrowed bro. Bro. Brats. Fuck! Authentic!
Eat them.
Fuck!